And getting into this, spawning here in the lower left corner of the map, playing for Google, is going to be the blue Zerg player, Relkin.
His opponent spawning in the bottom right, going to be the Terran player. There's been a Terran representative in every game so far, and every time the Terran has won, can Illini make it happen? The red Terran is Illini playing for Ernst Young, and he has to win this, or they're going to lose.
Yeah, before we get too much into this, I just want to say real quick, Penguin is a Zerg player. I am a Terran player, guys, so you can tell where our biases are going to be. It's really cool for me to see Terran come back to this, not because of Heart of the Swarm, not because of any of these other mechanics, but because Terran has, for the most part, been a bit of the back burner lately, and it's really, really refreshing to see. Granted, I think maybe they made Hellbats a little too strong after these last two games, but it's nice seeing Terran back in the scenery.
I actually want Terran to win as well, because then they'll be nerfed.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. Okay, so it's Newkirk City, guys. Let's talk about this. Now, you'll notice this huge area in the bottom middle part of the map is huge. It's empty. This is kind of like that perfect sky highway because it forces all ground forces to go through the north. There's two nice chokes set up along with two watchtowers. So these watchtowers do not reveal too much about the map, but you can definitely get some ground force control by getting that middle of the map under your control.
This map actually plays out a lot like horizontal spawn Shakura's Plateau. Looking at the base positioning, it's almost exactly the same for the first three bases. You've got the base in the main, you've got the natural down there, and then you've got the inside third or the upper third. Most Zerg players will go for the northern expansion for their third base, whereas the Terran players and the Protoss players will go for the inside expansion. The inside expansion is defendable from the high ground with siege tanks, much like Shakura's Plateau is. So it does end up playing out quite a bit like Shakura's, albeit slightly less.
Just like Shakura's, just like Entomb, these big maps with massive bases can also go very far into the late game. We'll see if Illini or Relkin will be able to take it that far, or if this will be a quick, decisive end as we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of stats for... I don't actually have anything for Illini, but Relkin did play last season for Google, and he went 2-2, so he's got a very respectable result there so far for Google. And
player. Very nice.
Yeah, and I believe... No, never mind. Ignore me.
I believe in Santa Claus.
Indeed, yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Relkin is going to be peeking on in here with that Overlord. We'll see the CC going up. That's a command center first for Illini, so he is definitely starting a little bit greedy here. Relkin going for hatch first as his standard.
He did it the safest way possible. I mean, you got to take into account this is a massively large map. He built it on the high ground, and he's walled off. So if, for whatever strange reason, Relkin had done something like, say, a 10 pull and done early link aggression, he wouldn't be too exactly shut down by this. And, oh no. Well, for those who are maybe still tuning in and listening, it appears I've lost my co-caster. I can't type. Can I? Well, I don't prefer solo casting, that's definitely for sure, but if we've lost Penguin, then we've lost Penguin. There's not a lot we can do about it. A little unfortunate. Well, my apologies to the players. This does tend to happen from time to time. Penguin, not often someone who lags out, but disconnects, they do happen.
Game paused.
Alright, well, Penguin is gone now. I have no problem solo casting this though, guys, so we'll just have to take it from here. I can't type to them in referee chat, so if they're good to go, hopefully they'll just take it away.
Hi, sorry about that. My PC just crashed.
Yeah, I'm just going to get you to drop the call, man. We're just going to go with the solo cast for this one.
Alrighty then, sounds like a plan.
Alright, so pausing, coming now, and we have the game underway again. Sorry guys, this does happen from time to time, but not a big deal. So we got our Terran player opening with that CC first, as was stated prior to the little bit of the hiccup there. Now, this does, of course, leave him with a very nice economic opening. It's a question of whether Relkin's going to go for anything early on, whether he's also going to go for something economic, like, say, a 3-base early expansion. It is a large map, it's an economic map, and this is one of the places you'll get away with it. Now, at the sort of the air spawn base locations, I guess if you want to refer to it as that, there are debris there, so you can't quite take this base. It forces you to kind of expand upwards and outwards, but you can, of course, try and take those rocks down with a couple of Zerglings if you want. Maybe secure this base, because a lot of people won't think, like, okay, there's debris, there's no way to expand there early. Our Terran player, though, is going to continue with what has been a typical follow-up today. We've got Reactor on the way, combined with a Factory. Whether this will be Widow Mines, whether this will be Hellbats, be very interesting to see, because I think they could both be very, very effective. Zerg was also recently in Heart of the Swarm, for those who don't know, granted the ability to create spore crawlers without an evolution chamber, so it's pretty nice, you know, when you need that early detection and you don't have Overseers up, well, guess what, just plop down a spore crawler. It's going to be really interesting to see, though. Illini, if he's been watching these games today, he's probably seeing just how effective some of these factory tech can be. And yeah, we actually have a starport coming down as well, so with a nice massive map, we might just see him go straight across the middle, cut through a lot of time, and do some Hellbats, which would be really nice to see. But no, as I'm talking about all this, Widow Mines are the first weapons of choice here. Yeah, expansion is being floated out. Some, ooh, maybe a bit of miscontrol there with the control groups. Trying to land that command center, get some supply depots up as well at the same time. Meanwhile, looking back at Relkin, he is getting some roaches out. Roaches are really nice early on if you can get in there and get some damage in quick. There's a lot of ways you can get into the Terran base, and if they've gone for something like Hellions, don't have Hellbats yet, it's really hard to deal with those roaches. But with the Widow Mines coming down, it'll be not too difficult. Very nicely fortifying himself here with a bunker on the front lines as well. Not putting it too far out on the ramp, so it can't really be sniped off. I like his choice to do this. Now, the one thing is, Relkin doesn't really have Overlords in scouting positioning. If we check his vision, he really has no vision whatsoever. He has seen, yes, there was that early CC, but that is about it. He doesn't know the barracks count, he doesn't know the gas count, and Relkin is either going to have to move this Overlord in soon, wait for the Overseer, get something. He needs to know what our Terran player is doing. Meanwhile, these roaches that I was talking about before, without that speed, are marching, I guess, across the field. New words invented every day with StarCraft, folks. Widow Mines, though, they will be able to do quite a bit of damage, and the roaches will have no vision. Oh, loses 2 roaches on those front lines immediately, cutting down those numbers very severely. SCV's very quick response to repair this, and with the wall up at the top of the ramp, these roaches will, of course, actually out of range of the bunker. That is quite a bit of a problem, as roaches can snipe off Marines. And if they break the supply depot, if they get into the main base, Relkin will actually do a ton of damage. Now, there are some Hellions out, but you know what? 5 Hellions, they can deal with these roaches. But will the tell be given to the medevac? Oh, the medevac is revealed. The armory is about complete. So Relkin now should probably expect a lot of Hellbats to be dropped. He has picked up one of the Hellions, though, which is very notable. It's going to reduce the amount of damage he's going to have to deal with back at home here momentarily. And, Illini does clean it up pretty swiftly. The Marines, unfortunately, the bunker's now empty. The SV's going back to mining. Checking back at home, though, for Relkin. He doesn't have a lot up yet. He's got time, but he's got to get stuff up soon, because those Hellbats are now morphing. They're going to be loaded into the medevacs. And Illini now just moving out across the field. He's putting in a 3rd command center behind this, too, so whether this goes well, whether this goes poorly, he's going to be perfectly fine following this up. Now, the Overlord should scout this. He's got some really nice positioning. Yes, so Relkin knows these medevacs are coming. There's a Spore Crawler down. There's a Spine Crawler coming. But this is 6 Hellbats, folks. These are not going to go down very quickly. Some tech options coming out as well. A Macro Hatchery even coming down from Relkin while he's going for a 3rd. Okay, here comes the drops. Some big damage going down. All those medevacs really have to do is dodge the Spore Crawler for now. Ooh, picking up his Hellbats right away. Not wanting to deal with this. Going straight to the natural. Ooh, I like this choice because there's nothing here to defend it. Just a couple of roaches. Can these Hellbats get a little more damage off? No. Illini lacking the beauty that was the micro of Fiesta Baby in past games. Not quite really doing much damage, but Relkin also responding very nicely to this. Only losing 1 worker through all of that. So very nicely done. Shutting that down rather promptly. Now, it does not seem to be that mech will be the follow-up to this. In fact, we do have bio. A lot of barracks coming down. 5 barracks being created. Another factory being thrown down. Illini is setting himself up very nicely at home, I must say. He's got bunkers in the right positioning. He's got supply depots everywhere. He's now going for the 3rd and 4th gas. Meanwhile, though, Relkin, he's pretty far ahead on the workers right now. 66 harvesters to the 47 of Illini. Mules, of course, they help, but not when you're that far behind. We got a 3rd base up for Relkin now, too. Plus that macro hatchery. He's going to have larvae to spare, folks. Not to mention these tech upgrades are now nearing completion as well. He's got the +1 armor, +2 is halfway finished, +1 ranged weapons. So it seems to be that Roach Hydra will be the weapon of choice here for Relkin today. As Infested Terrans, while they are nice, they no longer receive the gained weapon damage upgrades. And Marauders coming out. We got tech on the way. We got upgrades for both these players. They're just kind of building up to be what will eventually be a pretty big clash coming up here probably about the next 5 or so minutes. And I like that Illini has continued to put spine crawlers at his base locations. He's not wanting to get caught off guard by another drop. Although it doesn't seem like... Or sorry, Relkin's putting spine crawlers up. Whoa! Illini, though, does not seem to be gearing out for that. He's got 4 more Hellions and a medevac, but I don't know if this will be for a drop. This looks to just be part of his natural army composition. Now, 4 roaches are going to try and poke in here, but there's also 4 riddle mines, so that's 1 bullet for each roach. Ooh! 2 roaches go down immediately. Not fun at all. It's kind of, if you guys recall back and harken to the days of Brood War where you've got lurkers kind of lying in wait, you can sometimes do the trick where you just have them target the Overlord so the spines don't go up until the last second, and all of a sudden your army is decimated. That's how I kind of feel Widow Mines are. They just sneak up on you. And we do have 2 Hellions, not battle mode or anything, just sneaking around the map with that speed, poking here at the 4th base location of Relkin. Will there be a response to this? Hellions, they've got very low damage. They won't exactly take out the saturate anytime soon. But I actually do pull back for now. And Relkin continuing to stopping his drone production, just continuing a lot of roaches, and I like this because you really need mass units. Right now, Lina, he's got a nice army composition, but he doesn't have a composition that can deal with a massive amount of units. And right now, that is what Relkin is gearing towards. Plus 2 upgrades are on the way as well. I mean, he is just humming along here. Terran plays a little bit on par, slightly behind on upgrades in comparison. 15 more roaches following this up. And Line Eye is going to be in for a bit of trouble, I think. He doesn't have the watchtower, so he doesn't know this is coming. Overseer's actually moving out. I like this. Maybe dropping some changelings. Try and bait out some hits here. He will scout the Widow Mines there. The detection vision, of course, a little bit better than that. But these Marines are actually going to be sacrificed to the Roach Gods. Stepping back immediately. Oh god, oh god. Nope, nope, nope. Going back home. NCV is being transferred. Let's take another look at the worker count. It is now 78 drones to the 72 workers of Illini, so he has done a nice job catching up. Also going for his own 4th. These changelings are soaking the damage of these Widow Mines. I like that a bit. So one of the Widow Mines is going to be on cooldown for this next fight. But man, there's a lot of Hellbats here. And as said earlier today, 32 damage versus light, still 19 versus armored though. So these roaches are suffering a lot of splash damage. We see the Widow Mines, we see the Hellbats. This mass amount of roaches going down fairly quickly. If he had a few more, I feel he could have overpowered Illini's army, but he's being forced to fall back for now. Ooh, trying to snipe a few more hits. Here we go. Here's those roaches I was talking about, guys. The massive amount of them. Just going to push forward here. Most of the Hellbats have actually been taken out at this point, and it's just Marines and a couple tanks dealing with this. Meanwhile, Relkin, let's not forget, behind this, he is going for Ultralist Tech. This will be really nice. For those who don't know, Ultralists now do tons of damage to everything, not just armored. So Marines, literally, are just food for Ultralisks. And Relkin, though, he's going to be kind of pressed to deal with the siege mode now. Oh, he's going to fall back to his 3rd base. And the Marines are kind of dancing around a little bit. That stim pack starting to wear thin on them. But the medevacs have tons of energy as more roaches are pushing forward. Catching one of the tanks on siege. Very nicely done. Drones are being pulled. I don't know that I agree with this choice. But he is doing what he can to take down this Terran army. Queens, I don't see any transfusions coming out. Save one of the roaches. He does manage to clean this up, though. 1 tank remaining. And he should be able to push a little more with this, but he can't get too greedy. He's got changelings up. He knows that Illini has a ton of Marines behind this. But okay, so we saw Ultralisk maybe just for the tech path. That's actually not going to be the weapon of choice as we see a Greater Spire morphing in. And Broodlords are still pretty cool units. Meanwhile, a huge drop went down to the 3rd base of Relkin while all this was going on. Managing to clean up that first contingency of units. He's got to somehow deal with this drop. The base does go down. Will it continue down to the natural, or will we see Relkin just actually push out and try and force him back home? Looks like it's going to be a drop in the natural. This Ignite Afterburner is doing a nice job getting here real quick. The medevacs are not actually unloading. I say with a big question mark. The roaches, though, the drone's being evacuated. They're like, yeah, okay, we see the medevacs there. We're not going to stay here to figure out what happens. It's going to be some bad times. Some medevacs, are going to go for the main now. We've got Ultralisks on the way, though, so despite the Greater Spire, we actually are going to have Ultralisks, guys. Nice burrow immediately on those roaches, or on the drones, but the Greater Spire goes down. Ooh! So this will limit our tech path here for our Zerg player. Relkin no longer going to have that air option, but you know what? Not such a big deal because Ultras are really nice. The only problem is, though, he is lacking those melee upgrades. We'll see that come into effect here shortly. But Ultralisk, guys, for those who don't know, look at this. 38 damage versus everything. Marines only have 45 health. You can do the math. Splash damage is going to be huge. And this is a really nice sort of... We're transitioning into that mid-late game session, and I like that. This is Newkirk City. It forces out these... It's like Metropolis, guys. It's a huge map. It kind of begs you to go to that late game. Now, our Terran player does have 3-3 production on the way here for upgrades, and he's got a really nice force at home. I don't see a way for Relkin to break this. He is going to push into this planetary. He should be able to take this down. SCVs are being pulled, but roach damage is pretty good, especially with +2 upgrades. The planetary is going to go down. And Illini going to lose the space. Now, will Relkin pull back? There's a lot of Marines stemming forward, but without medevac support. Stim going to wear off just, unfortunately, so forced to restim one more time. These roaches are going to go down. And Relkin, I don't know, he's got some Ultralisks coming up behind this. A lot more roaches. I don't know that I like this mix, this particular mix. If you're going to stick with the ranged units behind Ultralisks, Hydralisks now off creep are very nice. They got the speed upgrade. They got a lot of DPS attached to them. And, what are they attacking here? I'm going to zoom in under the medevac. Oh, it's just a Marauder. Okay. But okay, wow, let's talk about this, guys. Relkin taking not 1, not 2, but 3 more bases while all this is going on. This is exactly the type of thing he needs to do to get back into this. He took a lot of damage from those drops. He lost his 3rd base before Illini lost his 4th. Sorry, 4th for 4th, not 3rd for 3rd. But now he's going to have a lot more larva production, a lot more income. And both these players' mains are pretty much mined out, or mined out. Well, mined out of the mained out here today. Relying on pretty much their naturals and their 3rd expansions for income at the moment. Once he has these other bases established, though, a drone transfer will be real quick, real easy. But there's a large army from Illini in the middle of the map. Both these players are pretty much maxed on supplies. So this engage is going to beg a lot of reaction. These Ultras are so close to having kindness armor plating. He really needs to pull back and wait. There is... Oh, it's so close to finishing. 10 seconds to go. These tanks are sieged up rather nicely, and Illini can't get caught with this. There are still roaches pushing into his natural. This huge contingency of roaches. Supply depot does go up, but this force at home is chasing them, but it's also drawing the attention away, allowing these Zerglings, these Ultras, to completely 100% circumvent Illini's tank lines. And I mean, wow, these Ultralisks suddenly up in his face at home are going to be very hard to deal with. Meanwhile, a huge drop did happen at the main of Relkin while this was going up, but the Spine Crawlers should be able to clean this up with the Transfuses. Very nice control by that Queen, but look at this. Zerglings all over the... Oh my god, Zerglings and Ultras flooding into the base. We've got kind of a base trade situation happening here, folks. As right now, Illini is going to be in a bit of trouble. He's got a lot of Zerg in his base. Ooh, actually, Relkin going to pull back and go home. As the main drop has now been cleaned up with those Zerglings. He's going to have this sort of split. He's getting hit from Zerglings from behind these tanks. Sieged and left alone with no support will fall. Roaches and Ultralisks crashing right into them. And now it's just mostly Marines, which, you know what? These Ultras can clean up. Look at this, guys. The splash damage for the Hellbats is cool, but you know what? So is the splash damage from the Ultralisks. Oh my goodness. Just meat grinding all of this bio army. Medevac's trying to pick up what they can, but there's not a lot for them to pick up. Meanwhile, everything here in Illini's base has been cleaned up. So both these players kind of went for some huge aggression, and both these players cleaned it up very nicely. This is not at all down and out. Both players are still in the game, although Relkin has a considerable supply lead right now. And just going to take some water real quick here. So we got one single Mutalisk cleaning up these medevacs, and this is actually kind of unfortunate because these medevacs have a ton of energy, and Illini cannot be donating him the way he is. He's got a huge bio reinforcement army behind this. His main tech choice has been bio. He's got a lot of barracks down. Actually, his 3rd base is under attack by 2 Zerglings and a burrowed roach. Watch out! But I mean, bio, you need those medevacs, and he lost quite a few of them, and that's really unfortunate. Now these Ultralisks in the middle of the map are going to get caught a little bit out of position. That is unfortunate. Those are expensive units to lose. Now this is kind of one of those points of the game where all players, whether you're a pro, whether you're an amateur, they get caught. There's a bit of focus vision, or tunnel vision that can happen, and it feels like that's the case here as Relkin, so focused on one thing, is starting to lose a lot of the map. Meanwhile, Illini has not been putting up more production structures. He's trying to get another base up, but this 4th base location has not only got a burrowed roach blocking it, these Zerglings are just harassing the crap out of it. So both these players are pretty low on income / supply. This is kind of the late game awkward moment where it's like, oh, okay, well, I needed to do this while I'm attacking. I didn't, so now I'm suffering a little bit from it. And looks like Illini will find this northern base location. 2 queens being picked off immediately. Drones burrowing. But I mean, to what avail? This base is going to melt. There's even an SCV with this army. And we do have a lot of Ultras and a couple Infestors here for Relkin, but the problem for Relkin right now is most of his army's in his main, and he's not bringing that with him, and he needs everything to fight this. He needs just everything. There's no Zergling support for these Ultralisks. There's not a lot of AoE left for Illini. There's no, in fact, there's only 1 Hellbat left on the field, so right now these Ultras could clean this up, but again, they need that support, whether it's Fungals, whether it's Infested Terrans, whether it's Zerglings. But Relkin playing with half his army is still going to be able to clean this up because, again, Bio versus Ultralisk, they are now made to be that ground counters all unit. That is pretty much the design of an Ultralisk. They're that massive beast, the scary mythological creature, and Infested Terran's actually doing quite a bit of damage at the 4th base location of Illini. Both these players, taking a look at the workers' last step, have picked off quite a bit of the opponent's economy. 59 to 30 workers have been killed, but look at the unit's loss tab. Really tells the tale of the game. And Relkin still, I don't know that he knows this huge army. There we go, he finally picks it up. I was a little worried how long he would leave it unattended. And Ultra's now shredding these Marines once again. And Illini, I feel like without this 4th base economy going for him, he's really hurting right now. He cannot max. He's trying to, desperately. But he doesn't have medevac count to keep his current Bio army alive. And he doesn't have the production to reproduce it when it dies. And floating around the map, yeah, the naturals are mined out for both these players. Essentially, the 3rd bases are getting kind of low. 3rd base currently non-existent for Illini. He had to move down to that air 4th base location. Now, Ultras are just charging the front lines. They don't give a good gosh darn. You have tanks? Well, guess what? We're big, massive behemoths. And the Marines are getting shredded to bits. But, oh, a nice little flank from behind. The Marines are going to pick off the Infestors from the back. 2 Ultralisks remain, and it felt like Relkin actually just threw away a lot of his units. Illini, though, equally low in supply. This is kind of precarious. Both these players are just starving, as it is 78 to 92 on the supply tab right now in favor of Illini. Looking around the map, we still got a lot of burrowed drones here at the northern base location of Relkin. A lot of, I mean, like, you can't blame players for doing this. There's so much going on, and it's so hectic, and it's so like, oh my gosh, I'm so close to winning, or I'm so close to losing. It's really easy to lose sight of what's going on. Now we have got another big drop coming towards the main of Relkin. This is where all his precious tech structures are, but there's no army to defend it. Look at the units tab. There's 1 Ultralisk and 10 Infestors, and that's it. If Illini can pick off these crucial tech structures, pick off the Infestation pick off the Ultralisk layer, which is going to go down, I think this might just be the nail in the coffin for Relkin. I honestly thought, guys, Relkin was going to have this game in the bag. He was playing very well, but losing these tech structures, losing the spawning pool, he's not going to be able to create units behind this. Some nice Fungals going down, doing some AoE damage. Ultras will clean this up, but at what cost? He lost so much, and he doesn't have the economy to reproduce it, not immediately at least. I guess there's a bit of irony of Relkin taking his main army out of the main base. If he had that there at home, none of that would have happened. He also wouldn't have then lost it to his opponent. Now, this Planetary Fortress is going to try to deal with these Infested Terrans at the 4th base location of Illini, but Infested Terrans are pretty good, even without those upgrades. Will they be able to take down that Planetary? The SCVs are rushing to repair it. Very nicely done here by Illini. He knows how important the economy is, how crucial it is to this late game part of section that we're in. There's quite a few Marines. There's a nice tank line. Relkin, he doesn't have any units on the field, and even if he did, I don't know that he could break Illini's lines right now. And Illini playing this very well, continuing with a lot of this drop harass, and he sees the tech structures. He knows where they're being built, and these medevacs are on the way. Actually, ooh, they could land right between the two and get a lot of damage done. Now, Relkin making a tech swap entirely, going for Mutalisks right now, guys, but that's also because that's what all he can make at the moment. And Marines moving in, going to try and focus this Ultras layer down again. The cavern's going to fall. Nice Fungal, but it's not quite enough. The damage is there, but these poor Infestors doing what they can. These Mutalisks also being a little unattentive as they watch their brothers die.
Hello, Rifkin.
Count right now. Hey, Penguin. It is 57 workers to 33, and I mean, Illini is just humming right now.
Oh wow, this game's actually still going on.
This game is still going on, sir. Now the extractors, everything here for for Relkin is pretty much mined out. He's relying a lot on this 4th base that was just attacked, and a huge hit squad is coming to the 3rd base location. Oh no, there's nothing here to defend it. There's no units on the field right now. Relkin is just trying to move across, and Illini, 180 supply to 86 guys, might just be looking to end this game. We are definitely going to see an ace match here today, and I'm so excited about this because I said at the start of the day I was looking forward to going into an ace match.
Now, I think the big question now could be going into the next game. Obviously, this game is essentially over. I don't really see a way that Illini can come back.
Oh, he's the best just to the tank fire. That one missile turret detecting all the burrow. And Relkin, oh man, he's hurting, guys. He's bleeding out slowly is the only way to describe this. We do have Illini maxed. He is trying to mine, he's trying to disrupt the mining here, but the planetary fortress is still in effect. The siege tank actually killing probably more SCPs than the... And Relkin, I don't know that he really has a chance to do anything at this point. And yeah, there's the GG, folks.